Greetings, fellow Outer Limits fans. It's an exciting day today as I received my batch of the books From the Inner Mind to the Outer Limits scripts of Joseph Stefano. I'm very excited, and I thought I would make a quick video to show what's inside the contents of the books in case you're interested and curious. So there's two different editions. First of all, we have the numbered edition. This is limited to 500 copies. And we have the lettered edition, which is limited to 52 copies. And I'll show you the contents of both. So let's start with the numbered edition. I think everyone has seen the nice cover that was done by Gauntlet Press for the Outer Limits. It features three of the bears on a cover display. And it has a nice little spine that shows the title and, of course, my name as the editor. Inside, on the inside sleeve, we have just an introduction to the book and what's included, and we'll certainly get to what's included a little later on. And the back sleeve has a quick biography of Joseph Stefano, the author of the book. I'm very proud to announce that Joseph Stefano is a fellow Pennsylvanian. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay, so what's inside the book? It's very exciting news. I can't wait to show you. First, to greet you on page 1, we have David Frankham as he appeared in Don't Open Till Doomsday. Don't Open Till Doomsday was the very first episode that's presented in this text. I thought it was appropriate to include a copy of David Frankham. I have a little standard joke that I use that we provided David Frankham with an advanced copy of the text, and he got halfway through the first episode, and this is what happened. So please proceed with caution when you're reading some of these nightmares. They're quite a read, to say the least. You can see that this is number 131, limited to 500. The lettered edition is signed. It's signed by two individuals. First of all, Dominique Stefano, signed right here. Dominique is the son of Joseph Stefano. And thanks to Dominique and his mom, for the first time ever, we are able to publish the scripts, the Outer Limits scripts of Joseph Stefano. So thank you very much to the Stefano family, and thank you, Dominique, for your unrelenting support during this entire process. Of course, I signed as well as editor. This is, needless to say, a very nice scene from a feasibility study showing all the luminoids. On the next page, we have the table of contents. I actually took the time to pull out the original script, so I'll go through what's included in the book when I'm done showing you the actual hardcover text here. Of course, it's dedicated to the memory of the author, Joseph Stefano, his first publicized book outlining the teleplays he wrote for Season 1 of The Outer Limits, 8 of them to be exact. And there's a very nice, heartwarming message that's an introduction to the book by Dominique Stefano, the son of Joseph Stefano. I have a little preface here explaining what is in the contents of the book, and I just wanted to show you an example of what a typical episode would look like. So here we have, as mentioned, the very first episode, Don't Open Till Doomsday, and we have the manuscript date, the production date, the original air date, and I tried to include a picture of the monster before each and every episode. I don't know what you think, but if I looked into a little box and saw this thing staring back at me, I'd be pretty horrified. So say what you want about that box creature. That's a pretty horrible sight right there. After some credits for the production, we then have the actual script. And you'll find that the actual script is a scan of the actual script. It's a manual typewriting set, you can see from here. And you can see the original page from the script. So I have the original scripts here. I'll show you what they look like. But I just wanted to let you know this is a scan or a picture of the actual script page. So nothing has changed when you're reading each of these individual scripts. The publisher then recommended I just include a few pictures at the end of each episode. And I don't know if I can find those quick enough for you. Yes, here they are. So for Don't Open Till Doomsday, we just have 2 pages. The first one featuring David Frankham as Henry Cry, just about to peep into the wedding gift. Miriam Hopkins, David Frankham's wife in the episode, Mrs. Cry, 35 years later, with her mind spiraling downward and probably lost. John Hoyt, trying to save his daughter, who's now trapped inside the Doomsday Box. And of course, the epic conclusion to the story, where we have good versus evil, and good prevails for at least one more day. Again, it's a picture of David Frankham dealing with the box monster and relentlessly refusing to yield to evil. So that is the text. This particular edition it's well over 500 pages. It's looks like about 530 pages. Again, it's the lettered edition. The lettered edition is available directly from the publisher at Gauntlet Press. That's www.gauntletpress.com. I will have some available for sale on eBay as well, a handful. So that's the lettered edition. Now the table of contents. Rather than read to you what episodes were included on the table of contents, I have the script, so I thought I might as well show you what is included. And the text opens up with Don't Open Till Doomsday, a Joseph Stefano script that is one of my favorites, a more abstract story. The second is It Crawled Out of the Woodwork. This is the October 1st version. The third is the Zante Misfits. I don't think the Zante Misfit needs any introduction here. Everyone knows what a Zante is. Another classic Outer Limits tale. The Invisibles. Next up we have a feasibility study. This is actually an earlier draft, and I think some of the story developments, especially early on, are quite interesting. You'll find a little difference, therefore, between the teleplay that's presented in the text versus what you'll observe on the actual episode. I think this one's much, much better. And the reasons will be obvious. And last but not least, for the filmed episodes, we have The Forms of Things Unknown. This was Joseph Stefano's favorite scripted episode. This one is dated December 20th. It's also slightly earlier version of the script. It's not the final script. The final script is dated January 1st, as they went into production right after the new year. But this has some interesting passages in there that I thought was important, and I think you'll find interesting. So of the first six scripts that are presented in the text, 4 are final scripts, so they'll follow very closely to the final televised episode. The next 2 are slightly earlier drafts. I think they're very interesting. There's some interesting story developments that were in the original scripts that are not in the actual televised episode, and therefore I think it makes it for interesting reading. And then we have 2 never filmed episodes, fully scripted teleplays by Joseph Stefano. The first is the earlier version for The Forms of Things Unknown. This one is dated July 1963, so it's very early on. And they have the traditional bear or monster, referred to in the script as the form, and it is more a traditional Outer Limits episode. As you may recall, when they finally filmed The Forms of Things Unknown, Joseph Stefano was pitching a pilot to ABC Studios for The Unknown, and therefore they, due to time and cost constraints, they elected to film both the Outer Limits episode and the pilot simultaneously, with just some slight differences between the 2. This is what The Forms of Things Unknown would have looked like if it were strictly an Outer Limits episode. So I promise you'll find this one a very interesting read, as the form takes on a full monster status, is in the forefront of the story itself. And last but not least, we have Small Wonder Part 2. Small Wonder is the only double episode scripted by Joseph Stefano for Season 1 of The Outer Limits, and it was never filmed. No worries about including Part 2 only. Part 1, in my editorial at the very beginning of the book, I included a very brief synopsis of what went on in Story 1, and this is therefore the starting conclusion to Small Wonder. It's a nice science fiction tale. And actually, if you're wondering why there's some reflection here, I'll just basically explain how I archive my scripts. First of all, I do add microchamber between the front cover and the first page, the last cover and the last page, and in the middle of the script. The micro chamber paper, it's thin, it's pure white, it's 100% cotton, and it absorbs all the impurities and retards the aging process of the paper to nothing. So actually, with the micro chamber paper added in between the script pages, when stored correctly, the paper won't yellow, it won't age, it won't form mold, it won't degrade as paper always does. I do have a 0.5 backing board. That's museum grade backing boards. It's acid free. That helps with handling so we don't bend the spine. And these are poly bags right now because obviously I had to use these and handle these to get them into the text itself. I'll replace the poly bags with Mylar. So long-term storage, they will be prepared for long-term storage. Anyway, those are the original scripts that appear in the actual book. Now the collector's edition, this one is sold out. I'm very happy. Thank you for your support. There's just a few small differences with this version versus the numbered edition. First of all, this is limited to 52 copies. You'll note that there are end pages here. I was able to select the end pages. I'm very proud, and probably one might suspect I would have selected some more bears to feature on the end pages, but I selected these two pages deliberately for symbolism, which is very often seen in a lot of Joseph Stefano scripts. So don't open till doomsday. You may perceive you know what a Joseph Stefano script looks like. I was quite surprised. I've been a lifelong fan of the Outer Limits. I was quite surprised with how well written these scripts are. They're not just instruction manuals for the production team. They really are pieces of literature. And also, it crawled out of the woodwork. Notice that the energy being is activated. There's a light coming out of that little window from it crawled out of the woodwork. So what we're doing is making sure that Joseph Stefano's imagination lives forever. And that is very symbolic of this first publication ever of his scripts. The next difference is that the cover page, you may recall from the numbered edition, was signed by Dominic Stefano and myself as editor. This one has an additional signature here. It's signed by Marilyn Stefano, the wife of Joseph Stefano. And again, thanks to the Stefano family for allowing us to publish these for the first time ever. And then there's a series of 5 autographs. 5 autographs from actors who appeared in episodes that appear in this text. The first one is David McCullum from The Forms of Things Unknown. Typically, David's been asked to sign for The Sixth Finger. Obviously, I asked David to sign for The Forms of Things Unknown because it's a Joseph Stefano scripted episode. Secondly, we have Ed Asner from It Crawled Out of the Woodwork. Of course, many of you recognize Ed Asner from The Merely Tyler Moore Show. Then we have your friend and mine, David Frankham. Don't Open Till Doomsday. David's been a big support with this book and a very, very big help as well, so I do thank him personally. And every time I watch this episode, I can't help but to watch and shout at the scene, "Don't look in the box, don't look in the box." But every time he looks in the box, and boy, it must be a long 35 years, David, sorry. And also from It Crawled Out of the Woodwork, Michael Forrest and Barbara Luna. Note the last 3 are also Star Trek alumni. So those are the 5 autographs included in Volume 1. And at the very end, we have 11 pages of It Crawled Out of the Woodwork that are original pages. It Crawled Out of the Woodwork is the second script. It's the final script that appears in the body or the text. In the back, there were 11 revision pages. So I included the 11 original pages as they were originally written by Joseph Stefano. And I did that for some obvious reasons. I think it shall add some interesting discussions, especially those 2 that are identical. I'd like to find the bridge between what was changed and then what was not changed. So that's the book. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a wonderful time putting it together. I'm very, very proud. I have even my name associated with Joseph Stefano. Thank you very much, and thank you for your support if you've already purchased the book, and I hope you'll consider buying this numbered edition, which is still available at Gauntlet Press. Thank you very much.